That Christmas, I thought I had found the one. Stephanie was beautiful, smart, and we had been together for 2 years. I saved 3 months of my salary to buy her a diamond ring. My grandfather taught me that real love means commitment. So I planned to propose on Christmas night. But I never expected that evening she would spit in my face. She called the ring pathetic. And that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Before we dive into what happened next, drop a comment and let me know where you are watching from. If you have ever felt humiliated by someone you loved, hit that like button and subscribe so you do not miss stories like this. Stay with me, because what I am about to share changed my life forever, and the lesson I learned might just save yours too. I met Stephanie 2 years ago at a coffee shop in Seattle. She worked as a marketing coordinator for a fashion company. She was stylish, articulate, and had so many friends. For the first time in my life, I felt like someone truly understood me. We connected fast. Our early dates were simple but magical. We walked through Discovery Park, had dinner at this Italian place downtown, and talked for hours about everything and nothing. After 6 months, I introduced her to my family. My mom adored her immediately. After a year together, we moved into a small apartment. At first, everything felt perfect. We cooked together on weekends, binged shows on Netflix, and fell asleep tangled in each other. But slowly, I started noticing strange things. Stephanie began comparing me to her ex-boyfriend Tyler, who worked as a banker and made serious money. She would mention how Tyler drove a BMW and took her to fancy restaurants. When I brushed it off as casual conversation, she started complaining about my salary. I made $75,000 a year as a software engineer, which was decent but apparently not enough. When her friends showed off designer bags on Instagram, Stephanie would go quiet and moody for hours. Once we went shopping together and she stopped in front of a Coach store window. She stared at a handbag and sighed deeply. I asked what was wrong. She just shook her head and said nothing, but I saw the longing in her eyes. I convinced myself it was just work stress. She had been dealing with a demanding boss and tight deadlines. So I decided to do something special. I started working extra hours picking up freelance projects on weekends, all to save money for an engagement ring. I wanted to give Stephanie the wedding she deserved, the life she dreamed about. For 3 months, I researched diamonds. I learned about cut clarity and carat weight. I visited 5 different jewelers before finding the perfect one. It was a 1.2 carat diamond with a simple platinum band. Classic, elegant, timeless. The price tag was $5,300. Exactly 3 months of my salary. When I held that ring box in my hands, I felt proud. This was my promise to her, my commitment to our future. I spent weeks planning the proposal. I wanted it to be memorable, something she would tell our grandkids about. I reserved a private corner table at a restaurant overlooking Puget Sound. The view was breathtaking, especially at night when the city lights reflected on the water. I ordered red roses for the table and wrote a short speech that I practiced in front of my bathroom mirror at least 20 times. I even bought Stephanie a black dress as an early Christmas gift, something elegant for the occasion. On the day of the proposal, I left work early to prepare. My heart pounded so hard I thought it might explode. When I picked Stephanie up, she wore the dress I gave her. She looked stunning. On the drive to the restaurant, she asked if there was something special about tonight. I smiled and told her to wait and see. But inside, I felt this strange knot in my stomach. Something about the way she looked at me that evening felt different. Her eyes seemed distant, distracted, like her mind was somewhere else entirely. The restaurant was beautiful that night. Christmas lights sparkled everywhere, soft music played in the background, and the smell of grilled steak filled the air. But Stephanie barely looked up from her phone. She scrolled through Instagram, liking photos and commenting on posts. One post caught my attention. Her friend had just gotten engaged, showing off a massive diamond ring. Stephanie typed, "Gorgeous. So happy for you," with 3 heart emojis. I tried to ignore the sinking feeling in my chest. We ordered our food. I got the filet mignon, she chose grilled salmon. I attempted to make conversation, reminiscing about our 2 years together. The time we got lost hiking and had to ask a park ranger for directions. The Sunday mornings we spent making pancakes and reading the newspaper. She nodded along, but her mind was clearly elsewhere. After dinner, I took a deep breath. This was it. The moment I had been planning for months. I stood up slowly, feeling every eye in the restaurant begin to turn toward us. My hands trembled as I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out the small velvet box. I got down on one knee. The room seemed to hold its breath. I opened the box and the diamond caught the light, sending tiny rainbows across the white tablecloth. I started my speech, the one I had practiced so many times. Stephanie, the past 2 years have been the best of my life. You make me laugh, you challenge me, you make me want to be better. I cannot imagine my future without you in it. Will you? But before I could finish, Stephanie looked down at the ring. Her face changed. The soft expression vanished, replaced by something cold and hard. She stared at the diamond for 5 seconds. Then 10. The silence stretched so long I started to sweat. People around us whispered. Someone pulled out their phone to record. Finally, Stephanie spoke, her voice flat and emotionless. This is it. This is what you got me. I felt confused. You do not like it, she laughed, but there was no humor in it. Like it, Preston, this ring is pathetic. The word hit me like a punch. She picked up the ring box, holding it up to the light, examining it like a jeweler appraising a fake. 1 carat, seriously. My friend Jessica just got a 3 carat from her fiancé, and he has only been dating her for a year. Around us, people stopped eating. A woman at the next table gasped. I tried to stand, but my legs felt weak. Stephanie, I saved for 3 months. 3 months, she interrupted, her voice rising. That is the problem, Preston. You do not make enough money. I felt like someone had dumped ice water over my head. What are you saying? Stephanie stood up, pushing her chair back so hard it scraped against the floor. What do you think I have been doing these 2 years? I thought you would get promoted. I thought you would start making real money. But you are still just an average software engineer. Living in that cramped apartment, driving that old Honda Civic. Do you know how embarrassing that is? My throat tightened. So everything was fake. You never loved me. She threw the ring box onto the table. It bounced once and landed next to my water glass. It was not fake, Preston. I just made a mistake. I thought you had potential. But looking at this pathetic ring, I know you will never give me the life I want. Every word was a knife. I tried to hold back tears, but they burned behind my eyes. The entire restaurant watched us now. A man in a suit shook his head in disgust at Stephanie. An elderly woman whispered something to her husband. I spoke quietly, trying to maintain some dignity. Stephanie, please. It is Christmas. She leaned down, bringing her face close to mine. Her eyes were cold, empty. And then she did something I will never forget as long as I live. She spat directly in my face. I felt the warm wetness hit my cheek and slide down toward my jaw. The entire restaurant gasped. Someone shouted, "Oh my God." Stephanie straightened up and said in a voice loud enough for everyone to hear, "That is what I think of your pathetic proposal." She grabbed her purse from the chair and walked out. Her heels clicked against the hardwood floor. The front door opened and closed. She was gone. I stood there, frozen saliva dripping down my face. A waiter rushed over with napkins. "Sir, are you okay?" I could not answer. My hands shook as I wiped my face. I picked up the ring box with numb fingers. Around me, people looked away, embarrassed for me. A young couple at a nearby table seemed close to tears. I left cash on the table for the bill, probably too much, and walked out into the cold December night. I do not remember driving home. I just remember sitting in my car in the parking lot, staring at the ring and wondering how I got everything so wrong. I drove back to our apartment in a daze. The streets were empty, Christmas lights blinking in windows, families gathered around trees. I felt like I was watching the world through frosted glass. When I unlocked the door, the silence hit me. Stephanie's things were everywhere. Her jacket on the coat rack. Her shoes by the door. Her coffee mug in the sink. It felt wrong, like walking through a museum of a life that no longer existed. I sat on the couch, still holding the ring box. Tears came, then hot and angry. I cried for 20 minutes straight, my shoulders shaking, my chest aching. But then something shifted. Through the pain, I remembered something my grandfather told me before he died. I was 16 dealing with my first breakup, and he sat me down on his porch. "Preston," he said, "dignity is more important than love. Never let anyone make you feel small. The moment someone disrespects you, walk away. Because you teach people how to treat you." I wiped my eyes and looked at myself in the mirror across the room. My face was red and blotchy. But in my eyes, I saw something new. Not just sadness, but determination. I picked up my phone and blocked Stephanie's number. Then, I texted our landlord asking to change the locks first thing in the morning. It was almost midnight on Christmas, but I did not care. I needed to take control of something. The next morning I woke up with a sense of purpose. I spent Boxing Day packing all of Stephanie's belongings into cardboard boxes. Every item felt heavy with memories. Her favorite sweater that she wore on lazy Sundays. The perfume she always sprayed before going out. The framed photo of us from our trip to Portland. I packed it all methodically, without emotion. When I finished, I called her best friend Ashley and told her to come pick everything up. Ashley arrived around noon, looking uncomfortable. She could barely make eye contact. "Preston, I am so sorry about what happened. I heard from some people who were at the restaurant." I handed her the first box. "It is okay. Just tell her not to contact me again." Ashley bit her lip. "She told me you were overreacting." I stopped and looked at her directly. "Overreacting?" She spat in my face, "Ashley. In front of 50 people. On Christmas." Ashley's face turned red. She nodded, quickly grabbed the boxes, and left without another word. After she drove away, I called a locksmith. By 3 in the afternoon, I had new keys. I changed my social media profile pictures, removing any trace of Stephanie. I deleted our photos, unfollowed her friends, and made my accounts private. It felt like performing surgery on my own life, cutting away the infected parts. That week, I took 3 days off work. I flew home to Oregon to see my family. My mom knew something was wrong the moment she saw me. I told her everything. She listened without interrupting, her hand holding mine. When I finished, she did not trash Stephanie or say "I told you so." She just pulled me close and said, "Honey, some people are not capable of recognizing real love when it is right in front of them. You dodged a bullet. Imagine if you had married her." Those words hit home. My mom was right. I had been saved from a lifetime of never being enough. I returned to Seattle with a clearer mind. I joined a gym and started working out every morning before work. The physical exhaustion helped quiet my thoughts. I enrolled in an advanced coding boot camp to sharpen my skills. Most importantly, I decided to invest in myself. For 2 years, I had been focused on making Stephanie happy. Now it was time to make Preston happy. By March, 3 months after that horrible Christmas night, my life looked completely different. My manager promoted me to senior engineer. My salary jumped to $95,000 a year. I moved to a better apartment in Capitol Hill, with a view of the Space Needle. I made new friends through my hiking group. Every weekend we explored different trails around Washington. The physical challenge and the beauty of nature healed something deep inside me. One Saturday at a tech meetup downtown, I met a woman named Kimberly. She worked as a data scientist for a healthcare startup. We started talking about machine learning algorithms and ended up chatting for 2 hours. Kimberly was brilliant, but humble. She wore jeans and a simple sweater. No designer labels or flashy jewelry. When I mentioned I liked hiking, her eyes lit up. "I go every weekend. We should hit Mount Si sometime." We exchanged numbers, and over the next few weeks, we met for coffee, went on a few hikes, and got to know each other. Nothing serious yet, but I felt comfortable around her in a way I never did with Stephanie. One Saturday afternoon, Kimberly and I sat in a coffee shop on Pike Street working on our laptops. My phone rang. Unknown number. I almost declined, but Kimberly noticed my hesitation. Maybe it is important, she said. I answered. The voice on the other end made my stomach drop. Preston, it is me. Stephanie. I froze. My hand gripped the phone tighter. Can we talk? Please, I took a breath. We have nothing to talk about. Her voice cracked. Please. I made a mistake. I need to see you. I wanted to hang up. Every instinct told me to end the call. But some part of me needed closure. Fine. Tomorrow, 2 in the afternoon. Pike Street Cafe. Stephanie's voice brightened immediately. Thank you. Thank you so much. I will be there. I hung up. Kimberly looked concerned. XI nodded. Long story. She squeezed my hand. Be careful. The next afternoon, I arrived at the cafe 10 minutes early. I wanted to be settled in control. At exactly 2, Stephanie walked in. She looked different. Her hair was unstyled, hanging loose around her shoulders. She wore minimal makeup. Her eyes were puffy and red like she had been crying for days. She spotted me and walked over slowly, almost hesitantly. I gestured to the chair across from me, but said nothing. She sat down fidgeting with her hands. Hi, you look good. I kept my voice neutral. What do you want, Stephanie? She took a shaky breath. I want to apologize. For everything. What I did on Christmas, it was unforgivable. I have replayed that night 1,000 times. I cannot believe I treated you that way. I sat back, arms crossed, waiting. She continued, words tumbling out. I was so obsessed with money and status that I could not see what really mattered. After that night, I went back to Tyler. I thought he was everything I wanted. Rich, successful, confident. But Preston, he treated me like garbage. Like I was just another accessory for him to show off. He cheated on me with 3 different women. When I confronted him, he laughed in my face. He said I was not special, just convenient. Tears rolled down her cheeks. That is when I realized, you were the only man who ever truly loved me. You worked for 3 months to buy that ring. You planned that whole proposal. And I spat in your face. She reached across the table trying to grab my hand. Please, Preston. Give me another chance. I will be different. I promise. I have learned my lesson. I pulled my hand back gently, but firmly. I looked at her, and strangely I did not feel anger anymore, just a calm certainty. Stephanie, that ring was not pathetic. My love was not pathetic. You were right about one thing, though. I was not enough for you. But not because I did not make enough money. I was not enough because I deserved someone who valued me for who I am, not what I could buy. She sobbed harder. I do value you now. I see it clearly. Please. I shook my head slowly. You only learned this lesson because you lost something better. Not because you grew as a person. You went back to Tyler thinking he was the answer. Only when he hurt you did you remember me. I am not your backup plan, Stephanie. Her face crumpled. What about us? 2 years together, I stood up. Those 2 years taught me something valuable. Love without respect means nothing. And you never respected me. She grabbed my sleeve desperately. Please, do not leave. I still love you. I looked down at her hand on my arm. Gently, I removed it. Maybe you do love me, but I do not love you anymore. That night, when you humiliated me in front of all those people, something inside me broke. And when it healed, I realized I deserved better. She whispered through tears, Is there someone else? I paused. There might be, but that is not why I am saying no. I am saying no because I finally learned to love myself. I turned and walked toward the door. Behind me, I heard her crying softly. I did not look back. When I stepped outside into the spring sunshine, I felt lighter than I had in months. 3 months later, Kimberly and I became official. We took a road trip down the Oregon coast, stopping at every viewpoint and beach. She met my family, and my mom pulled me aside after dinner. This one is different, honey. She looks at you the way you deserve to be looked at. I knew what she meant. Kimberly saw me. Really saw me. Not my paycheck or my job title, just Preston. One evening, Kimberly and I sat on Alki Beach watching the sunset. The sky turned orange and pink, reflecting off the water. She leaned against my shoulder. "You know what I love about you," I smiled. "What?" she said. "You are genuine. You do not pretend to be someone you are not. That is so rare." I thought about Stephanie, about that awful Christmas night, about everything that happened after. And I realized I was grateful. Grateful for the pain because it taught me to value myself. Grateful for the rejection because it made space for someone real. I thought about that ring, the one I sold 3 months ago. I used the money to take Kimberly to Vancouver for a weekend. We explored the city, ate amazing food, and laughed until our stomachs hurt. This time, I did not need to prove anything to anyone. Because real love does not require proof. It just exists. Simple and true. As the sun dipped below the horizon, I turned to Kimberly. "I need to tell you something." She looked at me, curious. "That call a few months ago, my ex wanted me back. She apologized for everything." Kimberly tensed slightly. "What did you say?" I took her hand. "I told her I moved on. That I found someone who sees my worth." Kimberly smiled, her eyes glistening. "And have you moved on?" I kissed her forehead. "Completely." Sitting there on that beach, I understood something my grandfather tried to teach me years ago. Dignity and self-respect are not things you compromise for anyone. Not for love. Not for comfort, not for anything. When someone shows you who they are, believe them. Stephanie showed me she valued money over character. And instead of trying to change for her, I walked away. That decision saved my life. Sometimes, the best proposal is the one that gets rejected. Because it saves you from a lifetime of being someone you are not. I learned that love should lift you up, not tear you down. It should celebrate who you are, not criticize what you lack. And when you find that kind of love, you realize all the pain was worth it. Every humiliation, every tear, every sleepless night led me here. To this beach. To this woman. To this version of myself that I actually like. So if you are going through something similar, if someone made you feel small or unworthy, I want you to know something. You are enough, exactly as you are. The right person will see that. And the wrong person, they are doing you a favor by leaving. Trust me on that. Now I want to hear from you. Have you ever been in a relationship where someone made you feel like you were not enough? How did you handle it? Drop your story in the comments below. And if this resonated with you, smash that like button and subscribe to the channel because I share real stories about real life every week. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. Thank you for listening to my story. I hope it helps you value yourself the way you deserve. Take care of yourself out there, and remember you are worth more than you think.